Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Noelle and I do unboxings, mostly lifestyle subscription boxes, but a variety of other categories as well, including books, beauty, jewelry, travel, home decor, and the very occasional dash of Disney. So if you enjoy unboxings, particularly subscription boxes, I hope that you'll consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notification bell, and that way you'll find out whenever I post new videos, which is usually at least once a day, if not twice. Whenever I announce giveaways, there's always a secret password giveaway going on. You can find out more about that in the link that is going to be in the description box below for you, and you'll also find out whenever I go live. As always, if you are already subscribed, thank you again so much for being here and welcome back. Today I have a great quarterly book subscription to share with you. I've opened it several times here on the channel, and I'm proud to say that moving forward after this box I will be one of their ambassadors, so I'll be receiving the box for review. But I have loved what I've gotten so far. I've been subscribed since she started it, and that is the Literary Book Club. So of course the box even looks like a classic book because that is what this subscription features, along with gorgeous items to bring the pages of the novel that's featured to life. So there's some items that are associated with actual page numbers. There are things that you open as you read, before you start reading, and of course when the last page has been read. This subscription is $74.99 per quarter plus $10.95 in shipping. I have a new link and code for you. It is mauinoel, and that will save you $5. As always, that will be for you in the description box below. She also does some fun limited edition boxes, which you would purchase in addition to the subscription or on their own. I believe there is a summer box that might still be available. I know she has plans for a Halloween box as well as a holiday box. So really great way to add to your library collection, and of course to read some of the classics that you may have skipped over somehow back in school. There have already been several books where I was like, I know that book, I know references from that book, but I never actually read it, and that was definitely the case with the spring book. So I do have the Madame Bovary box as well in my pile of many TBR book boxes, but I'll get to it as soon as I can. But I wanted to share this spring box with you. Now, the novel that was featured was Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which I was really interested to read just because I am a captain's daughter. I love all things ocean. I'm not much of a science fiction person, so I knew it had that element, but I figured maybe some of those things that seemed futuristic once upon a time have actually come true, so I was kind of interested to read it. Now, inside the beautiful box, we have a lovely quote, of course, from Jane Austen that says, "I shall be miserable if I have not an excellent library." I just love all of the calligraphy that Katie, the owner and curator of this box, does to add to the boxes. Now let me show you the gorgeous edition that we got of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Isn't that so stunning? Of course, that is the Nautilus, the amazing submarine that is on there with its all kinds of, it's got a screw and it's got like a prong in the front so that it can attack things. It's beautiful, and silver foil along the edges. It does have a ribbon bookmark, but we also received a bookmark designed by Katie. It says, "In this life, it is always the unexpected that happens." And of course that is a quote from the book, but how beautiful in all of these blues with that sea coral. And then she does have a product card, but it's all the way at the bottom of the box. So it's usually just to be for surprises. I usually will go through and just make sure that I have all of the page numbers, but I try not to look too much. And then I usually go through and put little sticky notes where those gifts that correspond to certain pages are located. Sometimes I cheat a little bit and have to find out what the gift is just to make sure that I have it, because I know it might be a couple months before I get around to it. She actually in the last book box gave us some beautiful magnetic bookmarks, page markers, which I'll probably be using in the future. But there's also a lovely letter which has this gorgeous wax seal. This time it was in a green wax, so I opened that up. And then inside, see, we see some more of her artwork. It just says 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And then of course we have a letter from Katie. It says, "This box features a gorgeous edition of Jules Verne's landmark of science fiction and wonder, featuring full color art by Milo Winter. When Professor Pierre Aronnax and harpoonist Ned Land join an expedition to hunt a fierce whale that has been sinking ships, they end up as captives of Captain Nemo, who prowls the sea in his magnificent submarine, the Nautilus. There they discover a magnificent, mysterious, and sometimes dangerous underwater world. I can't wait to hear what you think of the book, the gifts, and the whole experience. Make sure to tag us on Instagram. So very, very cool. So you can see this is just the little letter that she gave to us. And again, there is a list at the very bottom. So I actually pulled that out and I'll prop that up in front of me. I will be reading some passages from the book, but let's go ahead and look at some of the gifts that you were able to open up before you even started the novel. So one of them is our swag bag, which is always fun. So it just comes in this little bag. It had the bookmark, of course, as well as a nice sticker that has that same quote. So nice sticker that you could put on something. I'm not sure what to do with all of these. And then of course a lovely matching book plate, so you can make this a permanent part of your collection. And then I think we also got a nice little treat. This is some sweet and salty, a mini chocolate bar. Of course, we love treats to enjoy while we are reading. And then there was, of course, this one that has a beautiful sticker that says, while you read. So let's go ahead and open that one up. And this one has Leisureman's Bee's Knees Lemon and Real Honey Simple Syrup. So it's just a single serve cocktail mix, but I thought that was really fun. And of course, I love these, but I don't use them while I'm actually reading the book because I want to share all of the items with you later on. So we got a little sweet and salty treat as well as a cocktail mix, which you know I absolutely love. So then the first page where we had something associated with a gift, you can see some of those gorgeous drawings, full color illustrations that were in here, was on page 82. So let me turn to page 82 and find our matching gift. And then I can see if I can figure out what it had to do with here. So here we go. Here is a lovely little octopus stamp on there. It says page 82. So it says, so they are now on the submarine, and it sounds like they're going to have to be on the submarine forever with Captain Nemo because he doesn't want anyone else to find out about this alternative lifestyle, and he has decided to never set foot on land, have to deal with terrible humans ever again. So there's actually 3 of them. There is Ned Land the harpooner, there is Monsieur Aronnax, and then his sort of manservant Conseil, who was also there. So it says, I thanked Captain Nemo profusely and went closer to the shelves to examine the library. Here I discovered works on science, ethics, and literature, but I did not come across a single volume which dealt with political economy. That subject seemed to be strictly prescribed. Oddly enough, the books that were thrust onto the shelves in irregular arrangement, a fact that would seem to argue that they had been read by the commander of the Nautilus at random, or at least indiscriminately. I am greatly obliged, sir, that you have placed this library at my disposal, I said. It is a vast storehouse of science and contains many real treasures. I shall profit by them. So he's a scientist. For that reason, so much of this novel was just lists of the creatures, the flora and fauna that he saw, and those passages were a little bit slow sometimes. There were definitely some action scenes. I would love to see the film adaptations now that I've read the book, just because I feel like I could have skipped over some of that biology lesson. And sometimes I was like, are they making up words? Like, do these actually exist? And I would Google them and be like, oh, it's actually another word for manatee or something or other. But it was definitely a little bit tedious at times. So he discovers this gorgeous, amazing library. There's also an art gallery that's all on this submarine that can stay underwater, and they have enough air if they come up often enough, and they have electricity generated through batteries powered by salt water. It's very science fiction-y, but also kind of almost sounds like it could be a thing now. And it is this personal library kit from Knock Knock, which I've actually gotten before, I think in a Bombay and Cedar, but it's such a great gift, especially now that I am really adding to my library, which I really stopped as much as possible after grad school because of limited shelf space. But you know, you can't feel bad about collecting more great books, especially gorgeous editions of classics. So this is what it looks like. It's like an old school library system where you have the little pouches where you put the card in there, and then you have the stamp with the date that you can change, so you can actually loan your books out to friends, and maybe gives them a little bit more responsibility in terms of bringing it back to you, so we would hope so. So I thought that was kind of a cool gift for sure. Now this particular book only had a couple of them that were associated with actual pages, which was very different from the last one that I read, which had a ton of gifts that were associated with different pages. So that did kind of make slogging through part of the book a little bit slow sometimes, because the next one was on page 241, and then the book itself was, I think, just a little over 400 pages, so 460 something pages. So there was like a whole like 200 pages where I didn't have any gifts to look forward to, except the one at the very end, but that's okay. So on page 241, let's see if I can see. After we had descended a fairly steep declivity, our feet rang upon the floor of a kind of circular pit. There, Captain Nemo halted and with outstretched hand pointed at an object that I had not as yet perceived. It was an oyster of extraordinary size, a gigantic triacne. It was a font which could have contained a whole lake of holy water. Its basin was more than 2.5 yards in breadth and consequently larger than the one which adorned the museum saloon of the Nautilus. I approached this extraordinary mollusk. It adhered by its byssus to a slab of granite, and isolated there from any of its fellows, it developed in the calm waters of the grotto. I estimated the weight of this triacne at 600 pounds. Such an oyster would contain 30 pounds of meat, and one must have the stomach of the fabled gargantua to be able to demolish some dozens of them. So it's this giant oyster. It just kind of reminds me of, I don't know, it was just a giant oyster. I mean, when they said it was like 600 pounds, there's another image later on of them fighting off a shark, which I thought was kind of cool. So I was kind of guessing that we would get something having to do with oysters. It came in this little pouch, and you can see it's got the page number on it. So inside, I thought this was actually very cute. I love when there's a gift that you can actually use. So it's a very sweet oyster shell and salt set. So you can actually put the salt into the oyster shell. So let me go ahead and undo it for you. So it came with a little spoon. So it has this little wooden spoon so that you can put the salt in there. And then I'm going to undo the twine, which I hadn't undone before because, again, I do try to preserve it to some degree. While we're at it, you guys, let's have a secret password. It's going to be Nemo, because before Nemo was a fish, Nemo was the captain of the Nautilus. So if you're new to this, when you find a secret password, you want to enter it along with your contact information in the Google form that's linked for you in the description box below. You do have to be 18 years or older. You do have to be subscribed to my channel, and you do have to have a US or Canadian mailing address. At the end of the month, then I will use a random number picker to select a few winners to receive a mystery box. So I love the gold edging on this little oyster shell. So this is not gargantuan, this is just a normal little oyster shell, but I love when they repurpose oyster shells because they can be very beautiful for different things. And then we got this Saltery one. It's made in Duxbury, Massachusetts. So this is the little salt jar that we got, and again, it came with that cute spoon. So I thought that was another nice and usable item. So then we get to the very end, you guys. There was even a little shell kind of floating around in there with the shred. Again, I did get rid of the shred. And then we have this one, which has a nice compass stamp. Mine's a little bit faint. And then it says right on here, open when the last page has been read. So now we can finally open it because I hadn't opened it yet. And then at the bottom of the box, there's always a lovely art print. It's probably going to have that same quote that was on the bookmark and the sticker, and that's something that Katie does for all of the boxes. So we got this lovely marine life tote bag. I love this teal color on the strap. This reminds me of one that we got in a Wildflower Club box once that had honeybees on it, so I think it is from like the same series. But I love this. It's almost like scientific drawings of these different animals, sea creatures, and it definitely goes along with many of the passages, of course, in the novel that were describing all kinds of strange sea creatures. I wish we could have had a few more images as well, so you can even see this is looks like it's almost like the phyla of the different animal trees. Yeah. Oh no, this is telling you, yeah, different. The different, I don't know if that's class or what it is of some sort of species of animal. So, but I love the octopus. We've got some stingrays, fish, of course, some sharks, very cute. And then let's see what it looks like. So it does have a nice teal lining on the interior as well. And it does have a nice zipper pouch, which that's always good to make it very useful. So it says, the company is Cognitive Surplus, where science meets design. So that's pretty cool. And that makes sense that we got the honeybee one as well. It says stationery and lifestyle goods that celebrate science and inspire discovery with a respect for the sustainability of our planet. All right, I'm into that. I love this tote. So I think I shared the honeybee tote with someone else, but I am, again, someone who loves the ocean, so I feel like I might hold on to this one. It might be a fun talking point for beach destinations. And then let's take a quick look at our print. So again, it is in this life, it is always the unexpected that happens. I think I found another page that had a quote that I honestly didn't know came from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but I don't think that I marked it. But I did think it was a good book to finally read, even though I did find that some parts were a little bit slow. But I think there is something to be said about going back to the classics and kind of, especially in this particular novel, there were definitely some social issues that were sort of broached but not necessarily discussed too much. I mean, it's a little strange that this captain has just decided to take these people onto the ship once he has basically destroyed the ship that they were on. They were thinking that the Nautilus was a whale. I was a little unsatisfied, I will say, with the ending. It's a little bit mysterious. We don't know if Captain Nemo is still out there sailing the seas or not, but they did manage to finally escape their captor, who actually gave them an amazing experience. So here is what it looks like. I just, again, love the shades of blue. That's a great quote just because it's something that you could have up in your house. It's not very specifically science fiction-y or specifically 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So I do appreciate that when she chooses a quote that you could definitely have up in your home. Something I would like to do in the future is actually to have a rotating picture frame, because we do get prints from different boxes, but especially with this one, it would be fun to just put that print in there while you are reading to remind you to read, but also to kind of create an experience when you're making that cocktail and sitting down for another few chapters. Let me know if you guys have read this book, if you have watched any of the movies, if you remember it. It's one of those things that people are like, oh yeah, I kind of vaguely remember. That's where Captain Nemo came from. That's where the Nautilus originally came from. And what you thought of the gifts. So kind of fewer gifts, but I would say a little bit higher quality with that lovely tote, the library kit, and then of course that lovely little oyster shell and salt set. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate that. And remember, there is a secret password in here, so if you missed it, go back, find it, and make sure you put it into the Google form. See you in my next unboxing.